second or two to catch up. So we'll wait on that. But all right,
Cool,
it's on.
cool.
It's on. Welcome to the Pulse Neighbors. It is a great day. I am Julius Clark, your local Indianapolis realtor, and I'm here today joined with my wonderful guest, Adriana Burke. We've known each other for quite a long time, both Zionsville natives. And today she's going to help us out understand a little bit about who D.R. Horton is and what it is that she does. She does marketing coordination and realtor relations, pretty valuable for the nation's largest home builder. So how about you tell us a little bit about yourself, what brought you to real estate, and what do you do for D.R. Horton?
Well, what brought me to real estate, I was one of those people. I grew up watching the HGTV. I was always interested in the industry. But to me, it was more like a far-fetched career. Real estate to me was just something that was this glamorous LA job. If you wanted to succeed, you were in LA doing it. HGTV, all glamorized. But when I really started to look into real estate and all the different realms that it has and how it's such a hyper-local industry, I decided that I wanted to start taking those classes. So COVID hit, and the peak of COVID, I would say, is when 2020 is when I started taking the real estate course online. And with that, I also, and I recommend this to people who are interested in the industry, I got a job working for a real estate company, Carpenter Realtors, as their admin while I was taking the classes. So I was the person who was front desk. I was helping with walk-ins. I was helping with helping run the office, I guess, and paperwork, making sure everything's signed, sealed, delivered. And it really helped me learn while I was doing my courses. Past that, and then I moved to the Zionsville office and started real estate sales. And then I got the opportunity to work for a builder. And I started working for D.R. Horton in April. And my job title itself has shifted a little bit, but yes, I've started focusing on the realtor relations and marketing with our company. So basically that means that I help be a good contact for realtors all over Indianapolis to come in. We love to work with them. We love to help with social media, help them build their business, and we just kind of scratch each other's backs in that way. We're happy to host any events, any office meetings. So I help with that, and then I also do things like the behind the scenes marketing with our photos, our website, our social media, and I help our marketing team with that as well. So kind of all over the place when it comes to a day in the life. I'm kind of just running around to any of our models. We have 25 communities all over Indianapolis, and we're continuing to grow. So D.R. Horton, we are America's #1 builder, but we've only been around in Indianapolis for a little over 5 years as D.R. Horton. So we were taken over by Westport Homes and, we were taken over by D.R. Horton. We were at Westport Homes. And we're continuing to grow, and we're super optimistic about 2024.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing about your path to real estate and everything. I think you've definitely got a leg up starting as an admin. I know our admins on our team probably know real estate a lot better than the actual realtors in our office because they're the people that are really doing most of the grunt work on the ground. My job's mainly doing meetings and recording episodes like this.
Right.
So when it comes to all the paperwork and everything, I'm sure you understood the process of real estate much better than a lot of first-time realtors. So you got yourself in a good spot. And
it definitely helped.
To get hooked up with D.R. Horton, it's a good spot to be.
Yeah, and networking in general. I mean, starting as an admin, you're immersing yourself in the industry, so I was able to make connections. I'm still very close with the Fisher's office. They have a close place in my heart, and I do events with them all the time. They come out and support me all the time, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Now, the question that I have, because I'm getting into this whole home builder thing. Like, new builds are a different type of animal when it comes to real estate. Like, why does D.R. Horton need a position like yours? Because if I understand correctly, like, you guys don't have realtors per se. Like, you're not out there selling or getting buyers to the home. Sometimes maybe that happens. But what's the importance of what you actually do?
So, yes, we have sales consultants that those are the people that if you're out looking at a community, you walk in the model, those sales consultants are stationed there. And a lot of our sales consultants do great realtor drops, realtor outreach for their own personal business. But it's just impossible to, when you have those set hours in the model, it's impossible to reach everyone you can. And so another thing that we're able to do with our position is, or with my position, is we're able to be a part of committees and MIBOR and really reach out to realtors all over Indianapolis and get them where they need to be, so in every community. And that's just something that isn't really feasible for those sales consultants that are stuck in a model during those set hours, and they're there for the things like the appointments. And so what I'm going to do is send people to our models. And so I'm out and I'm attending things and I'm networking and I'm doing social media for all realtors all over Indianapolis and getting them into the models. And that's something that has been super valuable. Actually, we don't have our own realtors, but 80% of our sales or more are realtor sales. So that's a huge chunk of our business, and it's super important to us. And because of that, we want to make sure that we are continuing to give back to that. So it's super important.
Yeah, it sounds like D.R. Horton's kind of got everything hooked up here. But I first got introduced to D.R. Horton through Adriana. She invited me to an event that they were doing showcasing one of their homes. Do you remember where that one was? I think it was like Plainfield-ish?
It was New Bethel.
New Bethel.
So that Franklin Township, right? Because it was the continuing education. Yeah. So we were doing a showcase on like a lunch and learn, and doing our deco lighting and our smart home, Safe Haven smart home, some things that are included in all of our homes all over Indianapolis, and showcasing that.
Yeah, the deco lighting, if you guys haven't ever heard of, I was honestly really impressed by that. It sounds like such a simple solution to a very common problem, but I was surprised by how they were able to market it and the actual benefits of it. What it is basically modular light switches. That way, like,
plug and play.
Yeah. You're not having to, if you want to switch from a switch to like a fader or something, you don't have to go ahead and rewire it and all that. And if you want to switch back to it, you don't have to rewire it. You just plug it back in and you're able to switch it up.
And what's super cool is some of them are smart switches. So with those smart switches, you're able to set scenes and connect it to your phone, which connects to your alarm system. So, there's some really cool options on there. We could talk about that for long time.
Well, now that we do know a little bit more about you, the topic of the month is first-time home buyers. We're going to talk just about new builds and how that maybe benefits first-time home buyers. I'm sure a lot of your clients don't end up being first-time home buyers, but first-time home buyers, I think in 2024, are majorly going to benefit from what D.R. Horton has to offer, as we're still at the end of this high interest rate environment. Builders are able to, if you guys don't know, they're usually able to provide credits or some type of other incentives to help lower your rate, to make sure that your monthly payments aren't going to break the bank per se.
Yes.
So my first question for you then is, what has the market looked like in 2024, maybe even previous years? We're both kind of new to this, but how have you seen the landscape change, and how have you interacted with first-time homebuyers?
So, market 2024, I believe as of yesterday, this will mean something to you, maybe not to people that don't totally know, but there's only been about 450 homes listed in 2024 so far in the whole Indianapolis. So if you really take that into consideration, and some people might be like, oh, that's a lot, because we're dealing with a lack of inventory overall. But if you think about that if we were to stick on that trend, that's 11,000 homes in the whole year. So that's not very many at all. And so we've been dealing with this lack of inventory, which kind of has been worse for first-time home buyers, because there's that certain price point that typically first-time home buyers will fall into those maybe 200s to 300s, maybe less than 200, so in the 100s, and those are the homes that don't stay on the market long at all. And then there's going to be homes that sit on the market for longer, and so it's kind of affected our first-time home buyers a little bit. And another thing that's really affected our first-time home buyers has been this fear of the interest rate that everybody keeps seeing, and saying, oh, I missed my chance to buy in 2020 when the interest rates, some people were able to lock in a great interest rate at 2%. That was the time to buy. And that always is kind of an interesting conversation there, because they say, that was my time to buy. But when you really think about the overall situation that people were in at that point in time, is they were getting those great interest rates at 2% or a little bit over 2%. But they were also dealing with a bunch of other things that, including paying more for a house, $20,000, sometimes $50,000 over asking price, and even more than that, sometimes even over appraised price, just to get the home that they wanted, which is literally saying, I'm going to pay more than this home is worth. If you were to use the appraised price in this market, I'm paying more than that. And waiving inspections and waiving appraisals, and, just, was it a buyer's market? No. Was that the perfect time to buy? It's up in the air. So when people ask, when is the perfect time to buy, I always like to say it's completely subjective. Are you able to buy at that point in time? Does it make sense for you? Some people think that 2020 was the perfect time to buy. Now, from what I just said, do you think that it was the perfect time to buy? Would that have made sense for you? Maybe not. And maybe you're in a place where you're able to now, and then maybe now is your perfect time to buy. So it's just all up in the air. The market was at an abnormal low interest rate at that point in time, and it's always going to fluctuate. So
it is. Yeah. Best time to buy from a realtor's perspective, it's always now. No, it's totally subjective, and it's all about what stage of life you're in and if you're able to do so. But if you are able to do so, I always recommend purchasing a home.
Yeah.
I'm renting the apartment that I told you I was going to be looking at today. It's actually a part of a job. So U-Store, the self-storage facility.
Oh, yes, I actually do, yeah.
So I applied to there, and they give you a free apartment to stay in.
Oh, cool.
And, so I'm looking to do that, hopefully.
How was the apartment?
We didn't get to go check it out,
Oh, you
unfortunately.
didn't?
Yep, Sarah got off work a little bit later than we thought, or I thought. So wasn't able to get over there. We're going to go by tomorrow instead. But I am really looking forward to also kind of getting into the self-storage space as well. People don't think of that as like a real estate investing strategy, but in my opinion, it is one of the most lucrative out there. I brought it up in my interview with them, and they were like, I said, yeah, I want to do this because like I'd eventually love to own my own self-storage facilities. And they were like, get on the list. I was like, you're right. They are everywhere, and you can't just build one. You gotta do all your market knowledge and everything to get it straight. That's off topic, but it's where I'm at on my home ownership journey.
Yeah, I bought a condo a little over a year, and I think my interest rate was like 6.8, and I'm very glad I bought when I bought. So, like that's not much different than what we're seeing right now. Obviously, with builders, like what Julia said, we are buying down those rates, and we can talk about that in a little bit too, the incentives that we're offering. But I mean, you're not going to build wealth per se by renting. So if it's a matter of the interest rate and you know that you can afford to buy, let's think about like what your goals are, because more than likely your goal should be to own, and to own as soon as possible, and I'm sure you would agree.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. Yeah. I'd buy a house today if I had the funds to do so.
Exactly.
Well, we can go into the affordability aspect now. In my opinion, the affordability, there hasn't been a time I've been in real estate for less than a year, but in the past decade, let's say, the affordability has it's kind of peaking out on how hard it is to afford a home right now. I don't remember the statistic now, but everybody's posting it everywhere on how much cheaper it is to be able to rent. Yes, that's true. Your monthly payment is going to be a good amount lower if you're going to be renting. I think it was 26 or 27%. But you have to think about where those funds are going every time. But places like D.R. Horton are able to help you out with that, other home builders as well. What types of way are builders able to help buyers make their home a little more affordable?
Yes, and I do want to piggyback off what you said. Your rent isn't fixed. So it might seem cheap right now, but it could go up just depending. I mean, you're paying somebody else's bills. Typically, if you're renting from somebody, it's not a fixed price, so it can go up and without you even knowing. And when you have the ownership, you have a fixed rate, you know what you're paying every month. But yes, we as a builder at D.R. Horton, we are offering through March right now, we've secured a 4.99 government and FHA and VA loan, fixed loan, and then a 525 conventional. And on top of that, we are offering $4,000 in closing costs for our buyers. So I think right now, and I'm not a loan officer, market rates are teetering 7%.
6.77.
Okay, 6.77 right now. He said it, not me, because I'm not a loan officer. But
average.
Average. Allegedly. So we're significantly below that. And so that's another thing that we say that people don't always think about, especially first-time home buyers. You might have initially talked to a lender that said, hey, this is your price point. But it's important for you as the buyer to know that this is your price point. If you were to use that mortgage company and look at pre-existing homes, maybe they say your price point is $250 to $275, and this is what you should look at. Well, you could come and talk to a builder and talk to us, and we, with our mortgage company and those discounted rates, could get you into a home that's maybe more that $325 price point. And with those rates, you'd be paying the same monthly payment for the same 30-year period of time, and your value in that home is going to be that $325, not that $250 or $275. So over that period of time, you're ultimately gaining more equity. So it's a really smart decision to, even if you just don't think that that's the path that you wanted to go on, to at least just look at your options and check out a builder and contact somebody that you know in the building realm of the business, and just talk through that, because it's just important to look at every option.
It is. I know in the past it's been like a rate buy down for maybe the first year or the into the second, maybe sometimes even the third. Is this a rate buy down, or is the interest rate lower?
So we buy down the interest rate, so you will never have to see that money, that gap. As a company, we're buying that down for all of our buyers. Now, sometimes, like, we've gotten creative a little bit with 2-1 buy downs, which might be something that you've seen before too, or 3-1 buy downs, where maybe the first year it'd be $399, and then the second year it's $499, and then the third year it's $599 on. And that is something that we've gotten creative with, but right now our incentives are the $499 fixed.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. It really is.
You also have to think with a home builder, especially if they're the biggest home builder in the nation, there's probably a corporate side behind market research that's investing lots of time, man hours into where they want to build these locations. It's often unlikely that they're going to pick a location that's not going to appreciate at a pretty good rate, because you're looking out for the people that are be buying your homes. It's all about your reputation.
Absolutely. And we want to also sell our homes too. Like, if you want to think about it as and more selfishly, it's like, this is a business, and we are picking areas that are going to sell and are going to appreciate, because we want that for our business, and for you, of course. But yeah.
D.R. Horton, I've not heard a negative thing about. The reputation's pretty intact there, so they've been doing good work for now.
I'm so glad to hear that. I really am.
We also hit on when you should buy a home. That was going to be the next one, but
yeah. So whenever it makes sense for you, and it's just got to make sense for you. But I also think it's never too early to start your research. So start talking to somebody that that you see all over social media doing their real estate thing. They will be more than happy to meet with you for coffee and just tell you about what the market's doing. Even if you don't think you're ready, that's something that you should just never postpone hearing about. It's just going to make you more prepared for when you are.
Yeah, and for buyers that I interact with are in that position where they're just kind of in their research phase, I don't shy away from that at all. I know the statistic is that people usually don't buy a home for 4 to 6 months, somewhere in there. Even if they were like, I'm going to buy a house next month, they're not going to buy the first 7 homes that they go see.
Yeah.
So getting out there and getting that experience is very crucial. I had a showing yesterday with an investor that I met. I think it was on a Monday. But I was just like, I don't think this is the house for you or anything. I just want to go to a house with you so we can start conversing. Like, I want to know what language that you use when looking at and evaluating this as an investment.
Yeah.
And if you're going to and you're willing to do that with your realtor, at the end, the house that you end up closing on is going to be the one. You're going to have spent all of that time going to different houses and analyzing what is it that I need in a house. Even if it's an investment or your primary residence, just getting those reps in is important.
Yeah.
You're buying your house is the biggest purchase you're going to make in your life, unless you buy the Suns or something. So, so you got to put some time and effort into what you're going to do there.
Right.
So D.R. Horton, they're all over the country.
Yes, and I will say for the past few years, we have stuck to a strictly inventory business plan. So that means that we have quick move-in ready homes at all times, which means when a lot of people think, oh, builder, I don't want to wait a year to move into my house, or 6 months or whatever it may be, we have those move-in ready homes. So it makes it a lot more comparable to even just going and looking at a pre-existing home with an agent. So we have those pre-planned, pre-modeled, pre-designed floor plans that are turnkey, and we can close you within a month if it's the right model and everything goes well. So it's not something to X out of your options just because you think that, oh, I don't want to have to wait to build.
Yeah, that's a valid point as well.
And we can also sell at any stage, though, too. So, like, let's say you are thinking more 6 months or a year down the road. Maybe not a year, because who knows where the market will be in a year. But if you are still just kind of waiting for that, we sell at any stage. So
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Really able to help out whoever they need there.
Yeah, whatever the timeline is.
Yeah. So what's so great about Indianapolis, in your opinion?
So, in my personal opinion, I'm one of those weird people that everybody would grow up and being like, oh, Indiana is so boring. I can't wait to get out of Indiana. I actually love Indiana. I think that it has kind of everything you would want, in my opinion. It has the city, it has the suburb, it has the country, it has the creeks, it has the hiking trails and parks and lakes and whatever you would kind of need. So besides all of those preferences, Indianapolis is just a cool city. So we are actually number 1 in the Midwest for job performance, which is actually something that a lot of people don't think about. But people who have jobs buy homes, and they buy real estate. So our market on Zillow was ranked to be number 4 in 2024 for market growth. Mm-hmm. So it's just something that people don't realize how cool Indianapolis actually is, and how we really are up there. And so that's even more of a reason to start to buy real estate, because it will appreciate and you will get your equity out of it, and it's better to get in now.
Yeah, I agree. Indianapolis, looking at that, a lot of people look at that as a key metric, job performance. Mm-hmm. You got to think employers are also going to want to open up new offices in Indianapolis, in a city that's performing well job-wise.
Yes, lots of warehouses being opened up. There's so many things going on.
Is there anything else about D.R. Horton that we haven't touched on yet that you'd like to mention?
Yes.
So excited.
Yes. We always excited. We have a really cool program. I think you learned about it during our Lunch and Learn, but it's called Home Buyers Club. And so this is a cool thing. So maybe for real estate agents to use, or for first-time home buyers, or just anybody who might have that need. But we offer, it's really affordable. It's like free, but there's an application fee, and it's $39. I think $39 for the application, but we will walk you through how to fix your credit or gain credit. So if you have any issues with your credit, we will walk you through the steps on how to help with that and get you set up within a year. Some people just within a month or 2, we can get you on the road to purchase a home. So, if you're anything like me, I wouldn't even know where to begin with fixing credit. If all of a sudden I'm looking at my credit and it's horrible, I would be like, what do? I have no idea. Just having that resource and that tool there, that they basically will tell you, hey, pay this off, do this. And it's just, I don't want to say guaranteed, because nothing's guaranteed, but it's just an amazing tool to use to get you on that path way sooner than most likely you could do it on your own.
Yeah, you're the teacher. You can't guarantee success, but if you're going to put in the diligence and do the work, you're likely going to be able to get that done. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a vital tool as we go into 2024. We've seen credit spending go up faster than we've seen in previous years. Mm-hmm. Lots of people are getting late fees on their credit cards, or maybe missing student loan payments right now, mm-hmm. and those will impact your credit. Don't ever get what's the word I'm looking for? I guess down on yourself for getting a bad credit report one year or a couple of months. A lot of people are going through it right now.
Yeah, don't feel bad. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel scared to reach out. Get signed up for that. I give it to my friends all the time who want to start getting on the road to homeownership. It's like, even if you have good credit, let's build it even more to get a better rate down the line. It doesn't have to be a bad credit thing. And also, you don't have to end up purchasing with D.R. Horton. So that's another maybe misconception. It's through DHI, our preferred lender. If you use that, you don't have to end up, there's no obligation to purchase with D.R. Horton. So if you're I definitely don't want a new build and you still need that resource, you can still use it.
Cool. We've honestly blown through our questions, and I know that you're somebody who likes to be prepared, but I'm going to ask you a couple questions about yourself, if that's okay.
Sure.
I want to ask about your condo.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going? Why'd you buy it, and what's your plan for that place?
So, why'd I buy it? I wanted to be a homeowner, but me, a single woman, I work a lot. I didn't want to have to deal with the maintenance of having a whole house to myself and a yard to mow and just all of the things that come with homeownership, like the external factors. So I wanted something a little bit more low maintenance. And also, I wanted something that I could eventually turn into a rental situation. So when I do decide to then move out, potentially later with family, whatever, I can use that and sublease it. And, use that for that. And I bought it because I loved the location. So we grew up in Zionsville. I love the area of Zionsville. My family still lives there. It's super, it has a really special place in my heart. So I bought right outside of Zionsville. Oh, and I go to church at Traders Point Church, right there in that corner. I bought right down the street from Traders Point Church down Lafayette Road, and I just love the location. I think it's perfect. I think it's close to Zionsville. It's close to the interstate. I can get where I need to go. I'm always on the move. That's how I narrowed it down to that place right there.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Zionsville for a second. I am fond of Zionsville for many reasons. Growing up, I was in that crowd of, I want to leave this place. I hate it. It sucks. But
you weren't alone.
No, not at all. Well, a lot of people did. A lot of people did leave, that's for sure. But everybody's got their different mojo going on. But reasons that I love Zionsville, there's a long list. I realized and appreciated these a lot more after spending a year in North Carolina. Nothing against North Carolina. I think it's a great place. But I realized that my personality and culture aligns very closely to what Zionsville is. Maybe not politically all the way all the time, but I love the location of Zionsville. We're on the corner of 465 and 65. I have a family in Chicago, so
there you go.
It only takes me 2.5 hours to get to my brother's house in Chicago. It takes me a half hour, maybe it usually takes me to get here. I don't take the highway, but it takes me 18 minutes to get here from Zionsville. We're in Broad Ripple. So
yeah,
that's amazing.
I know.
And
Ubering downtown is less. It's $15 to Uber downtown if I ever wanted to go downtown. Yeah, it's a really good location.
I forget. You grew up in Royal Run too, right?
Yeah.
So we
good
grew up
memory.
in the same suburb. My dad actually he didn't build it. He bought to have a house built. It was the third house in that neighborhood. And
cool.
that neighborhood itself hasn't performed the best over time. But that neighborhood is why all of those shops are there now. If you're not familiar with Zionsville, it's Whitestown Road now. It used to just be cornfields, and now there's shops everywhere. There's a Lowe's, there's a Buffalo Wild Wings, there's Mexican restaurants, there's anything that you want. There's car wash. Everything is there.
Yeah. Anything in Zionsville, though, is going to appreciate like crazy. Like Royal Run, was one of the more affordable communities there, if not the most affordable at that point in time when your dad and my parents probably bought. But, I mean, now homes in there are still selling for, like, over $500,000 and if not more. It's just, like, crazy to see what Zionsville's just really appreciating.
Yeah. I think Zionsville made a couple stumbles along the way of its development. I think we could have maybe brought in Whitestown, but that never happened. Whitestown's a great area as well. I'm sure if you guys are looking for new builds or houses and great school districts, you've also seen houses in Whitestown because
we have a community in Whitestown.
Oh.
And actually, so thanks for the shout out. Actually, we have low maintenance. That's one of our communities that we do offer low maintenance on our cottages and townhomes there. So that community is like a mega community, and it has cottages, single family, and townhomes. Single family is not low maintenance, but our cottages and townhomes are. And we have this insane amenity center with 24-hour fitness, bocce ball, tennis courts, pool,
no pickleball?
Pickleball.
Okay, good.
Of course we have pickleball. Come on. And then walking trails. There's some outdoor. I thought this was kind of funny. There's outdoor fitness things, so like adult playgrounds where it looks like a playground like for kids, but it's really just some workout stuff for adults, and it's super cool. We've had actually quite a few people that work for us buy in that community because it's just a really cool community right down the street from Moontown Brewery, LA Cafe, just that downtown area. So
that's awesome. I know you don't know this. Our team is leaving at Properties. If you don't, I'm sorry if I'm spilling any beans about this, but we're switching over to EXP. But Sweet. A lot of the agents live in those communities in Whitestown as well.
Nice.
It's a great place for realtors to live because, as I mentioned, you can get anywhere from the Zionsville area because of your proximity to amazing streets and roads.
Right.
Awesome. Where can we go from here? We talked about Zionsville. We're both from there. It's a great place, and it's growing. I love it a lot. Where do you see yourself growing in real estate in the future? Do you see yourself having multiple rental properties or just a couple here and there?
I love it. It's a lot to manage. So, I mean, yes, probably just a couple. Yeah, probably just a couple. I don't know if I could see myself just having like all over. Some people will Airbnb all over the country and full-time job. I'd probably just have a couple. I know I'm at least just starting with my one condo and seeing kind of how that plays out first. But I could definitely see myself having a few of them.
I gotcha. I touched on it a little bit last week, or not even last week. As it releases, it'll be last week. But about my property management company. That's how I see myself growing in real estate. I love being a realtor, don't get me wrong, but I do it for the property management aspect. I got into property management for a couple of different reasons, but one of the main ones is residual income. As a realtor, you don't ever know when you're going to get paid, so it's nice to have a business on the side that's able to at least pay my bills, and then anything I get excess from realtor work is just getting reinvested in my business. But I see that growing, and how I touched on it last week was my interest with urban farming. I see myself growing into having rental properties that have small orchards on them that I can harvest crops from and take to the farmer's market. Cool. That's my plan.
That's such a good idea, actually. That's great.
Thank you. I'm hoping to get at least one of my current clients to let me plant some trees on their property this year, because it usually takes 2 or 3 years for the trees to actually fruit. So it's a long-term investment, but I'll probably own more trees than I will houses.
Well, hey, real estate is real estate.
That's what I said. Farming is like one of the most pure forms of real estate. We're talking about first-time home buyers today, but agriculture is... People say real estate's the backbone. It's everybody's got to eat.
Right.
How are you gonna make? We got corn in our gas. Like it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and it's super important.
It is super important. Alrighty. Let's move on here. Oh no, I got all mixed up. We're good.
That's fine. I will say for first-time home buyers. One thing that I see a lot of first-time home buyers sort of mistakes they might make, or things like you can look back and think, oh, I should have done this or said that. Ask more questions, and don't feel like so lost to where you think that your questions are dumb, because they aren't. And what I see happen a lot of times, especially with first-time home buyers, is your realtors and your loan officers and your people that you're working with are so immersed in this all day, every day, that sometimes it's hard to remember, oh, hey, they don't know any of the words I'm using. They don't know any of the things that I'm saying, that in their head it's all makes sense and it's all perfect and all of these things. Sometimes it's hard to remember, hey, I need to stop back at square one and just completely walk them through everything, even things that I feel like they might know. So as that first-time home buyer, I would just say, like, ask questions, even if it's just like none of what you just said made any sense. Because we, as in the agency or in the industry, we want you to understand, and we want you to like what you're getting, and we want you to feel happy about it and feel like it's a great deal, because it is, and it's exciting, and it's a huge deal that you're in this process. So I would say just definitely don't feel dumb. Ask as many questions. We want you to understand that that this is a great fit for you, that this is a good deal for you at this point in time, and we want you to feel confident about that as well.
Yeah. I'd say one of the most common questions probably the most common question I get asked, even by like people that are investors or have been in the market and have bought houses before, is how realtors get paid. Especially with all the controversy and everything that's going on in the media right now about the NAR lawsuit. Just want to answer that super quick. Realtors on the buy side get paid by the buyer, technically. But that money is not coming out of the buyer's pocket after closing or anything. It is associated with the price of the home. It's usually, and it's always negotiable, this is a big part of the controversy, it's negotiable, but it's usually in the range of 2.5% to 3%, and the list agent is actually the one that sets that on the listing for the buyer to know what their commission is going to be on the property.
Right.
However, I've had a couple of instances where on the listing it says 3%. Well, my client needs another $1,500 to make this deal work. I'll lower my commission to 2.5%.
Right.
If it's going to make a deal, I'm not worried about how much money I'm making on the deal. I just want to make sure we get a deal.
Right.
I've been working with you. We've been looking at all these homes. If this is the one, and where you're nice and everything, there's a pretty good chance that your realtor is going to be willing to lower their commission to make the deal work for you. I wouldn't always recommend asking your realtor to do that off the bat. But if you've built that relationship and everything, that is another a tool in your tool belt as you go through the closing process.
Yeah.
Another question I have on here. So I've got a couple of buckets of questions. This one comes from the finance bucket. I'm going to answer it super quick because this is a different space with new builds. Question is, how much should I save for emergencies and repairs? For investors, I always tell them about 10 to 15% of the home's price or the monthly income, however you want to look at it. But with a new build type situation, I would probably move that a little bit closer to the 10% because you're not going to expect as many problems to arise in your property.
And builders offer a warranty, a year warranty. They will do a check-in with you after a year of living in the home, and so there's that tool with working with new builds as well. And we always recommend when you're shopping for inspectors, and we still are like, hey, get an inspection even for new builds. Anything can happen. We're human. So working with an inspector or an inspection company, a lot of them will offer like a 4-stage deal to where they'll even come back 11 months after you bought your new build. So they'll re-inspect it, and it's all a part of the deal that you initially bought with them, re-inspect it for you at that 11-month mark, so you can then bring that to your new build when they're coming for their 12-month warranty check.
That's a great point. I don't know how many homes it's been, but I've been in a couple new builds where it's like, this is a new build, but like this foundation all right? Like, not D.R. Horton homes or anything.
Of course not, but hey, we're all
Not yet.
human. We always recommend inspections. So, yeah.
Inspections are the best way to make sure that you're mitigating risk when going into a real estate transaction.
Yeah. But what you were saying is right. Yeah, I would recommend 10, 15%. Now, don't let that scare you and think, oh, this is just too much money for, it's just because anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I got you. Another question, this one's going to be for you. Where should I start my search as a first-time home buyer? Where should I start that search?
I think you should start it before you think you're ready. So I think you should friend those annoying people on social media that are always posting about the market, like Julius or I, and always posting about the market. I mean, we would just be so happy to get coffee with you, or just meeting with as many people that you know in the industry as possible, gaining information, feeling more comfortable with the questions and with the topics, and then so I would start with a real estate agent. Then I would go into a loan officer, and your real estate agent should have some good recommendations for that, or you may know someone. But then I would start with the getting pre-qualified. Getting pre-qualified is free most of the time, and I would shop around a little bit, because every mortgage company has different programs that they can use. Some offer forgivable loans, which are a great tool that you can use if you don't have that big chunk of cash for a down payment. And then after a certain amount of time, maybe 6, 9, 10 years, once it's all paid off, it basically costs you nothing to get that loan. It's like completely forgivable. So there are programs like that are offered, working with a builder, knowing what you can afford with the builder rates as well. USDA, there's so many different things that come with it. And so I say, if you wake up one morning and you're like, I think I'm ready to buy like next month, it's going to be too much information and overwhelming. So I say start the search before you think you're ready to start.
It's a good segue into the next question, which is going to be, what are common mistakes first-time home buyers have? Because especially with D.R. Horton, if you're not educating yourself, you could miss out on the builder rate. You could go with your loan from Chase and try to go buy that house, and you're paying 3% more on your your interest rate than you should be. So what other mistakes do first-time home buyers make?
Getting all their education from Google. Real estate is so hyper-local, and it is perfectly okay to look up things on Google. Like, I use Google every day, all the time. But to say, well, Google's saying this when your real estate agent is telling you this, or your sales professional is telling you, hey, this is how it is here. Real estate is so hyper-local. What you're looking at online might be for a totally different state, or just for the nation as a whole. And real estate is just something that is more geared towards one area. So it cannot apply to what you're doing. So I just say, get a real estate agent that you, and just industry professionals that you really trust, and you feel comfortable enough to ask questions to, and let them explain to you why things are the way they are, and why these steps are what you need to be taking. So just get somebody that you trust. Another thing I'd say is too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to, you want to get what you want to get. So yes, listen to your real estate agent about the market, but don't let everyone around you kind of shape. At the end of the day, that's going to be your home. So don't let everyone around you shape your thoughts on, all of a sudden you're wrapped into this contract with a home that you don't even really like, and it's your grandma's favorite home. Like just some little things like that. sometimes I see happen, and it's just like, just definitely, and that goes back to just start your search a little bit earlier so you're not feeling as pressured when the time comes, and getting a real estate agent that you really trust.
Perfect. You answered these all amazingly, because it's also going to segue into our next question, which is, what resources are available to help me navigate the home buying process? Or are there any resources that you recommend people get connected with other than an agent?
Yeah, I'd say an agent covers a lot of things. But, I mean, even just talking with a loan officer or talking with your parents. Your parents have bought homes before. Now, don't say, like, hey, give me what you think I should buy, like that kind of thing. But just asking questions about, hey, what have you seen in your homes that you've bought, the appreciation, or what are mistakes that you think that you've come across in the buying process and things like that. Just anybody in the industry, sales reps for builders, they're going to give you good advice as well. Trying to think of other tools. I really think that those are the best hard-hitting things.
Yeah. If you're not somebody that's very open with or very comfortable with developing those relationships, that's fine as well. A resource that I would recommend for you is Bigger Pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger Pockets is more geared towards investment, but if you get on the forums on there and search any questions that you have, you're likely going to find a whole host of people talking about the issue that you have questions about. And from there as well.
In a local area, or just kind of like a national?
That's a good question as well. Sometimes, most of the time, I do look in Bigger Pockets and I put in Indianapolis, but there's not a lot of people in Indianapolis that use Bigger Pockets. That's just a fact. So sometimes if it's a more niche topic that maybe nobody in Indianapolis has covered yet, I'll go look at similar markets or just open it up to the whole nation as well, and that's going to help me get connected with somebody that might be able to answer my question. Even though it's a different market, it's probably going to be pretty similar to what we're looking at here. Buying a house is buying a house at the end of the day. The types of houses and the process looks different in different states. In California, you have to have a lawyer at the closing table. It's not a thing here.
And hey, a monkey can't do it. I was hearing that all the time during like the craze of everything, was that I could have a monkey as a real estate agent. I'm like, well, then you picked the wrong real estate agent if you're comparing them to a monkey.
That's another thing I wanted to touch on. A question on here we didn't ask, but is what priorities or personality traits would you look in for a realtor? And my answer to that would just be somebody that you work well with. There's no one answer for that. I've had clients before that I've fired. I've had clients before that have fired me.
Yeah.
You can't really have negative feelings about that. You got to do business the way that you want to do business.
Exactly.
And if people want to work with you, great. If they don't, they can find another realtor to work with. It's perfectly fine.
And I love that you said that you've fired clients before too, because that's another thing. I mean, people sometimes think they can just use and abuse their realtors. And to an extent, yes, like they're there to be a tool for you throughout the whole process, and they're most likely going to be available at any hour for your needs. But don't be like too ridiculous. Like, there's always a line to everything and a boundary, and I just think that sometimes people don't realize that, you know, we are human. People make mistakes. If you're communicating well with them, then that's going to go so far. So I would say, yes, communication, feeling comfortable communicating with them and asking them questions. If you feel like, some people would prefer somebody that's just like, hey, you don't worry about this. Let me just pioneer this whole transaction and just sit back and look pretty, and you're homeowners at the end of the day. Other people, like me, I'm more of somebody that likes to be walked through things, or asking a lot of questions, and making sure that I understand everything, because that's something that I find value in, and that's going to make me at the end of the day feel like I made the right decision. So I think trustworthy, knowledgeable, and available are the three top things for a realtor that you should look for. Available for you, know is going to work hard for you. And by knowledgeable, I do not mean the person who's been in the business for 20 years. It can be the person who has been in the business for 2 months that is really immersing themselves in the industry and involved in studying, and they're going to work super hard for you. That could be your right fit. So,
yeah. I'm just going to add 2 more points before we get to the conclusion of our show. First is going to be, I remember the first, but I can't remember the second. So maybe it's just going to be one thing. We'll see if I remember it while I'm talking. But first is a note towards agents. And I don't want to scare first-time homebuyers away from this, but we talked about firing clients. If you're an agent out there and you've put a lot of sweat equity into a client and the relationship's just not working out, if they're spending a lot of your time's probably better spent elsewhere. And don't think that you're going to be offending that client. There's tons of realtors out there, and maybe they're going to work better together. But if you've been spending months and months and there's no progress being made, sometimes it does take months and months, but as long as there's progress being made and expectations aren't too unreasonable, I think that there's able to kind of be a match there. And I don't remember what the second topic was going to be, but
I agree with that, what he just said.
Okay, so before we let you out of here today, I have some questions to get to know Adriana a little bit better. We did a lot of that during the show, but we got some specific questions that we're going to ask everybody that comes on here. If the listeners were to find you in your natural habitat, where would that be?
So, I'm not necessarily a woman of habit. So by that I mean I kind of like to try new things. So I love to go to different spots that I've never been to before with my friends. I love to be with my dog, my family. So I would say that there's not specific spots that you can always find me with, but there are specific people you can always find me with, like my best friends and my family.
Perfect. If listeners could take anything away from today's conversation and what you brought to them, what would that one thing be?
Ask more questions and start your search before you think you're ready.
Yes.
And start asking industry professionals questions, even if you're like, I live at my parents and I don't have a monthly income at all. It's just still good to build that knowledge, so when you are ready, it's less overwhelming.
Yeah, and people a lot of the times kind of need a spark to ignite that desire or want to go and purchase real estate. So even if you're a position that's, I know myself, I've been looking at houses since I was 18.
Right.
It's like every week at least I'm looking on Zillow. I would do it
for fun. Yeah. Like when those memes that are like, when your listing that you wanted to buy on Zillow for $5 million sells, it's like, oh. That's me. That's been me since like middle school.
Perfect.
Also I would say, a lot of people will ask, do I still need a real estate agent when working with a builder? And like I had mentioned earlier, over 80% of our business is done with realtors. So we do just recommend an extra tool, somebody that's going to we're going to fight for you, and we're going to set you up with what we believe to be the best deal for you and what you would agree would be the best deal for you. But it is always good to have that extra support system and just somebody that you'd been working with and trust.
Yeah, and starting off that relationship's going to pay dividends in other ways. Just to name a few, when you're ready to sell that home in 3-5 years, you're going to already know an agent that knows your home and knows about the neighborhood. That's number one. Yeah. Number two, you want to do a renovation in 2 years? I bet your realtor knows a contractor that could get that done at a pretty great price.
Right.
And any other hosts.
Just connections. The real estate world is small. We were just talking about this before the podcast. It's just such a small world, and every transaction's completely different. You're going to need different tools for each transaction, and just the more you know. Perfect.
Since we're both from Zionsville, I'm going to make you do double the work here, but what are your top 3 places in Zionsville and Indianapolis?
Okay. Like restaurants or just places?
Places.
Zionsville, Rush on Main. That's a good one. I loved flapjacks growing up, but they don't have flapjacks anymore. What do they call it? Like Pancake House or something?
Yeah, I think the Pancake House.
Pancake House. I did love that. Haven't been there in a while, though. Oh, they have that new... What's that new burger place that's, like, on that strip? I'm
strip?
spacing on it. It's so good. The strip where Flapjacks is
There's a new
now.
burger place there?
Yeah.
There was one, like, across the street by Meyer.
Or the new bar. What's the new bar?
I honestly don't know. I don't go out towards Whitestown.
Okay, then I'll say the Friendly Wings is super, super good. And that's downtown in Zionsville. And then I'll say Convivio. Convivio is a good restaurant downtown.
Perfect.
And then for Indianapolis, let's say this is so on the spot. I like anywhere with games. I'm such a games person, so if I'm going
16-bit, Pins Mechanical.
Pins Mechanical, absolutely. 16-bit, yeah.
I'm going fouling right after this.
Fouling's
axe
great.
Throwing.
I've been to the axe throwing. Yeah, all of those. Anywhere with games, I love to check out.
You a top golfer?
I have been at Back 9 downtown, but yeah I've been to both. Am I good? No.
Neither am I.
Absolutely not, but it is fun.
Years of football does not let you transition to golf. This is so off topic, but Pat McAfee, I was listening to his podcast. He's looking to get into golfing now.
Oh, well, perfect.
Right?
We should do a networking event with him at Topgolf.
That would be awesome. That would be
I'll
awesome.
just call him after this. I'll set it up.
Since last time I did my top 3 places in Indianapolis, I'll go ahead and reiterate real quick. Store, Naptown Thrift, love that place. Restaurant is Canal Bistro, and then I also mentioned, not in Indianapolis, but within driving distance, Turkey Run, love that place. In Zionsville, we've got Starkey Park instead, much smaller, but great place to take your dog, and there's a stream with little like waterfalls in it. It's pretty cool. I like the Friendly. I take, if I ever have clients come in town I have a lot of clients from California. If they come in town, they're like, hey, Julius, let's go get lunch. We're going to the Friendly.
Yeah,
That's where we're going.
The Friendly's where it's at.
And my last place in Zionsville, it's the best place, Lions Park.
Lions Park is a classic.
Gotta go with Lions
that's such a
Park.
classic. The fireworks on 4th of July, yeah.
The flooding in the spring.
The street dance.
Yeah.
The street dance, that's fun. Oh, the fall fest. Oh, yeah.
I wanted to go this year, but my girlfriend had COVID that weekend, so we didn't get to go.
Oh.
Still here in 2023 last year, but...
It's still around.
Last question. Where can people find more of you?
Everywhere. So I am all over social media. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook. I'm always posting things updates about the market, about D.R. Horton, just all of the different events I'm going to. Adriana K. Burke.
We'll link that.
We can link that. Yeah. So social media. And then DM me and ask for coffee.
Heck yeah. She'll take you
I
to a
love
nice
coffee.
shop. Thank you so much for your time today here, Adriana. I'm sure all of the viewers got so much value out of you being here today.
I hope so. If you have any more questions, reach out.
Please do. She's a great person to talk to, super kind, and she knows her stuff. With that, anything else you got to say before we get out of here?
Thank you so much for having me. You are an amazing... I love what you do. With all of your lives, all of your streams, your videos, now podcasts, I'm super happy for you. And I know that it will breed success.
Thank you so much.
You're
See,
welcome.
Kindest person.
You're